Welcome to day 3. How did we get here? Welcome to day 3 of Made for More 2025. I hope that you have learned a lot over the past 2 days. And today, day 3, is one of my favorites because we get to talk about planning and the art of refusing a drink. So I'm excited that you're here, and I'm just going to pray for us and then we'll get into it. Okay? In the name of the Father, Son, Holy Spirit. Amen. Let me get my glasses. Dear God, we come together today with open hearts and willing spirits, ready to explore our habits with curiosity and discover more about ourselves. We ask for your presence in this space, guiding us with wisdom, compassion, and grace. Help us to approach this time with honesty, free from shame or judgment, and rooted in the desire to grow and learn. Grant us the courage to face what we might uncover and the patience to give ourselves the kindness we deserve. Teach us to see the patterns in our lives with clarity, not as flaws to criticize, but as opportunities to better understand the needs within us. Bless this space with safety and support. May we feel held by one another and hear your quiet voice reminding us that we are not alone. Help us to trust the process, to celebrate our progress, and to offer ourselves grace in the moments we fall short. We ask for strength and openness, and for perseverance as we take steps toward alcohol freedom. Lead us toward the peace, balance, and freedom we seek. May this workshop be a time of discovery, healing, and hope for each of us. Thank you for being here with us, walking beside us on this path. Amen. In the name of the Father, Son, Holy Spirit. Amen. Okay, so day 1, what did we talk about on day 1? That was far away. Oh, we talked about curiosity, about getting curious, about finding your why, about looking at pros and cons. We were just really looking at all of those habits and the way that you're drinking and just kind of shedding light on it. Because as I've said before, if we take that out and really look at it and shed light on it, then it loses its power. But if we, out of fear, out of shame, kind of push that into the closet, and then we just push more in and more in and more in, it's just not going to get fixed. It's just going to keep getting worse and worse and worse. So the only way to clear that out is to pull those things out, look at them, and say, okay, is alcohol serving me? What is a good level of alcohol use? Can I have it, like once a week? Can I have it every night? Can I have it like never? Like, does it just cause so much chaos that my life is a lot better without it? You're not going to know that right now, but you will know it if you start getting curious about your drinking habits and looking at everything from the perspective of a scientist examining the facts. And we talked more about that yesterday when I talked about triggers and urges. We talked about how, just knowing those things that kind of can set us off a little bit. We can then plan for them. We can prepare. We can set boundaries. When urges and cravings come up, we talked about how to manage our stress and our mind so that we can let those go, let those urges go unanswered. And yeah, I mean, we've covered a lot in the last 2 days, and we're going to cover even more today that I know will be very, very helpful for you. So without further ado, let's go ahead and dive in. I'll share my screen with you. Let me make sure I'm on the right slide. Oh, wait. Sorry for the delay. Okay, now let me get into the presenter mode so you can see it a little bit bigger. Okay, there we go. So power planning and the art of refusing a drink, because a lot of people have a really hard time with saying no, with refusing a drink, and I totally get that, but it can be done. And when I walk you through some of these things, which you will also find them in your workbook, I think it'll be a lot easier, but it's not necessarily going to be easy at first. Okay. So just give yourself some grace, have some patience, and know that this is something that you're going to have to practice over and over again, but I'm going to kind of teach you how to do that. Okay. So first we're going to talk about things to avoid when you start out reducing or eliminating your alcohol consumption. So the first thing that you should avoid is going in without a plan, just deciding like, I'm just not going to drink. For example, just because it's coming up, dry January. A lot of people think, I'm just going to do dry January. I'm not going to drink. And they're like, I'm going to get through 30 days, but they just kind of do it without a plan. And about 30% of people who start dry January have quit midway through. So that doesn't even take into consideration people that didn't even finish, but 30%. And honestly, I think that's just because they didn't have a plan. And when we have a plan and we kind of know, again, our why we're doing this. And sometimes for people for dry January, it's like, why? I just want to see if I can do it. Why? I want to see if maybe this is a lifestyle that I want to adopt. Why? Because I want to see how much, if I feel any better without alcohol. So just knowing all those things before you go in is great. And if you've been working on the workbook, if you've listened to my other workshop videos, then you know this already. And today we're going to talk about how to plan a little bit more. But again, so as this is saying, it's so much easier when you're prepared. So you don't want to wait until you're just staring at an open bottle to decide, that you're going what you want to do. Like you want to plan for that in advance. So, for example, I had a client who was going to Thanksgiving dinner and she was deciding she was going to have two drinks. And that was great because, and she had a lot of peace about it. She was going to have a drink before dinner, a drink with dinner, and then be done. But she was going to bring her own bottle of wine. And I said, that's great. So then I asked her, what are you going to do with the rest of the wine? Because a bottle of wine isn't just two glasses. I mean, unless you have really big glasses. So she thought about it for a little bit. And I asked her, well, could you put it somewhere? Um, Sort of out of sight, out of mind. Keep in mind, this is her favorite wine. So Um, she did think of a spot like a communal table where there's alcohol on it. And she was like, I guess I could put it over there. Or actually, I'll ask my husband to do it, which I thought was a fabulous idea. And she could do that. The other option that I gave her was to pour it out, and that hurt her heart a little bit. So that wasn't going to work for her. But you can make a plan for that. So if your plan is to have two drinks, what are you going to drink? How much are you going to drink? What are you going to do with the leftover? Because when there's just an open bottle of wine, it can be really, really tempting. It's also great to stock up on like fun mocktail like ingredients, have sparkling water. I always, if I'm going to an event, I drink sparkling water like every day. But if I'm going to an event or we're doing something a little more celebratory, I like to splurge with some of the more expensive sparkling water brands that I like. Um, yeah, so I mean, you can just do that however you like, but a little prep goes a long way. The other thing to avoid is not identifying your triggers. We talked about this yesterday. So if you don't know what your triggers are, then it's going to make it really hard to plan. So that is why I spent so much time talking about triggers And we're going to talk about it just a little bit more today because it's that important. And then the other thing that you want to avoid is isolating yourself. Now, you're going to be tempted to do this. And I'm not saying you have to go to every event or um, go somewhere that makes you feel uncomfortable because there's going to be alcohol and you know it's going to be too big of a temptation. But what I am saying is that it's so great if you have a community, if you have support. And that is why I'm doing this workshop. So to give you support so that you can ask questions, so that you can learn new things. And it's really, really important. And then I just did a 30-day alcohol reset where we had a community. So the women could actually talk to each other within that community. They were getting group coaching from me and could bring up these, different things. We like planned for the Thanksgiving holiday together. Um, and yeah, I could just kind of walk them through. They could ask questions. Group coaching is also very beneficial because you might hear somebody getting coached on something that's different from what you're experiencing, but you may even be able to take what um, they've come up with and modify it to fit in with your experience or event, or it just might inspire you as you're planning. So, or sometimes it's just great to know that you're not alone, right? It just feels good because sometimes when we're struggling with something like this, when we have a disordered attachment, we think that we're the only one. And then we beat ourselves up like, why can't I get it? Why can't I figure this out? And no, it feels very isolating because then it's like there's nobody to really talk to about it. But I want you to know you can talk to me about it anytime. You can always message me. Okay. The other thing to avoid is not forgiving yourself for your slip ups. Now, I've talked about this again before in probably, I know in the first video, possibly in last video, but just taking those slips and instead of beating yourself up about it, like realizing you're going to learn from that. You're going to write that down. I actually have some questions that are included in this day that you can ask yourself after you drink, and I highly encourage you to do that. That is how you're going to extract the information that you need to plan and prepare for the future. So don't spend any amount of time beating yourself up. Just pick yourself up, ask yourself some questions, document it, and then say, what could I do next time to avoid that? Okay. Just be very caring and loving with yourself. The next thing is thinking that you don't need to remove temptation. So sometimes we just using that open wine bottle as an example, pouring a couple of glasses because that is your goal, but yet leaving your favorite bottle of wine open in plain sight where you are just staring at it and your brain is like, you should have that. You should drink the rest of that and all the things. Why do that to yourself? Don't do that to yourself. If you have to pour it down the sink, pour it down the sink. If you have to give it to somebody or like I said, put it on a table, offer it up. Just do that. But don't have it there just causing so much. What that's going to cause you to do is have a deprivation mindset. So you're going to be focused on what you can't have. You are going to be focused on that, and you are going to have so much chaos in your brain while it is there. So if you are trying to reduce or eliminate alcohol, I would offer get rid of it. Don't have alcohol in the house. On those days when you are planning to have alcohol, then buy it that day and figure out what you're going to do with the rest of it. Maybe you and your husband are splitting a bottle. Okay. That might be a couple glasses for both of you. And then you pour the rest down the sink. Or maybe you each have one and then I don't know. But you just need to make sure that you're not overly tempting yourself it because it's just unnecessary. And in the beginning, it's really hard. Once you build your sober muscles and you kind of have developed these habits and plans and you have confidence in knowing what you want and how you want to feel, it'll be a lot easier to resist the temptation, even if it's right in front of you. But in the beginning, I just would absolutely not recommend having that. Let's see. The last thing is ignoring your emotions. And remember, our thoughts create our emotions, and then we take action, and then we have results, right? So you don't want to ignore those emotions. When you're having an emotion, then ask yourself, what is the thought that I'm having that caused that emotion? And then look at the facts of that thought. Is that true? Is it not true? Um, how can I reframe that thought to get different results? Our emotions a lot of times will give us the key or give us a clue before we take the action. So if you can stop it before you take the action and think, okay, I'm feeling really discouraged right now. Why am I feeling that? What thought did I have? And just kind of go from there. Okay, what are some things that you can do? Well, you can set clear and personal goals, and we'll talk about that again today, but just decide why you want to stop drinking. So that's, find your why. And then, yes, set those specific and achievable goals. Now, this is something that I work on with my one-on-one clients. This is something that I'll work on with all my group coaching clients in the Sacred Sobriety Lab. That's actually what I want to start with in January on our group coaching calls, is to think about what those goals are, what their goals, what your goals, what you want them to be for 2025. And then we're going to talk about how to get there. Um, and it's going to be great. So, but you can do that on your own as well. You can just think like, what do I want my goals to be and how am I going to get there? Now, you don't have to go from 0 to 60, right? You can take it in smaller increments. And again, you're just being a scientist. That's what my Sacred Sobriety Lab is. It's a lab because we are exploring, we're experimenting, we're examining the data, we're analyzing it. And that's how you find the desired level of sobriety that's right for you. Identify your triggers, which hopefully you did yesterday, or you'll do it soon. And those 3 worksheets that are in your workbook will help you do that. Find support. So share your goals with a trusted person, people that will encourage you and love on you and not make you feel bad for your choices. And yeah, this could be, a close friend, family member, could be somebody in maybe your Bible study. It could be like what happens a lot of times is I will speak somewhere and then people learn that I'm a recovering alcoholic, I don't drink. And then they'll come up to me and they'll tell me their story of sobriety or living alcohol free or reducing alcohol. And sometimes they'll tell me stories about their sons or their daughters who have experienced addiction or disordered attachment to alcohol or drugs. And it just is so powerful. It's so powerful when we can share our story with another, with someone who, even if we haven't experienced the same thing, they get it. And there's just something so good about it. So that is why I added to my Sacred Sobriety Lab not just group coaching, which is hugely beneficial, but a community where women can support each other, encourage each other, hold each other accountable, pray for each other. This is going to be one of those things that is just going to be so, so beneficial because in our real life, a lot of times we just feel so alone. So many of my clients, it's just like they feel like they don't have hardly anybody that they want to share this journey with. They're afraid. And eventually, often they come around and they have no shame in like telling anybody. But in those beginning stages, it can be really, really hard and you can feel very vulnerable with that. So sharing in a safe space where you know people understand and get it can be very beneficial. The other thing is to create new habits and routines. We talked about this too. So, like if your nightly glass of wine is like you put the kids to bed, you go downstairs, you open a bottle of wine, you pour the bottle of wine, go and sit down. What you're going to want to do is, like we talked about yesterday, rework your schedule. So you put the kids down for bed. Maybe you go and take a hot shower or a bath. Maybe you go and wash your face and put moisturizer on. Maybe you go right to bed. Maybe you make yourself a cup of tea or something instead. Just change up the habit. Change where your body moves throughout your house, even because that will help you. Um, it'll kind of help your brain rewire itself so that you can create new habit paths. And then again, just be patient and compassionate with yourself because this takes time and it just is going to be uncomfortable at first. But don't be afraid of the discomfort. You will live. You will live. You can do it. Okay. All right. Oh, my arrow's not working. Okay. So the next thing is how, let me make sure this is the one. Yeah. The next thing is how do you want to set yourself up for success? Well, I have some suggestions for you. It's not going to be surprising to you that the first one is to have a game plan. I want you to, um, oops. Oh, sorry. I didn't mean to do that. I accidentally turned on my Spotify. I couldn't concentrate on what I was saying. Okay, let's go back. Sorry about that. Yeah. All right. So have a game plan. So before you arrive to an event, these are steps to set yourself up for success at an event, but you could really use this for anything. But before you go to an event, have a game plan before you arrive and decide how you're going to handle when somebody offers you an alcoholic beverage. Practice what you want to say. And then if somebody asks you why you're not drinking, then just keep those responses in mind that you've thought about and that you've kind of planned for. And, we'll talk about some different responses, but some of them here just like, I'm just taking a break or I'm trying something new. And people can't really argue with that much because you're not like, I'm quitting alcohol forever. It's horrible. You're drinking poison. Like, that's not how you want to start off a conversation. If you're just like, I'm just taking a break or no, thank you, most people aren't going to um, pry too much. The next thing that I suggest is bringing your own non-alcoholic options. I have learned the hard way that this is very, very important. Not everybody thinks about us non-drinkers. So a lot of times we're left with water and soda, and I don't like soda and I drink water all day long. So I will bring things that I like. I might bring things to share. If I want to make like some mocktails, then I will bring all the ingredients for mocktails and make them for whoever wants them, and just kind of make it fun. I always double check with the hostess first because I don't want to just like assume that that's fine. But really, just having a backup. One of my clients takes a backpack in their car wherever they go so that they always have something to drink. So if they get somewhere and there's nothing to drink, they can always go out to their car and then they have some um, items that they really like to have. The next thing is buddy up if possible. Maybe you can get one of your girlfriends or somebody, maybe your husband, to not drink with you. Just be like, just for tonight, can you not drink with me? Especially if it's like your first event. It's I promise you, there's going to be lots of people that are not drinking, but your brain is only going to hone in on the people that are drinking. So if you have somebody close to you who is willing not to drink with you, that can be such a gift. And just let them know that, like that, it would be such a gift to me if tonight, just tonight, you could like not have any alcohol, and that would be so helpful to me. Um, yeah, so try that. And then stay focused on the bigger picture. So remind yourself of your why again, and just think about like how good you're going to feel the next day. Enjoy the food. Now, I put this in here because, like, if you don't have an issue with food, I know that some of us who struggle with alcohol also struggle with food, but some of us don't. Like for me, I don't struggle with food, but I do struggle with sugar. So in this case, I would enjoy the food, but I would stay away from like sugar or most of the sugar. I might allow myself a little bit, but I wouldn't just sit there and eat all the cookies and everything. So, um, yeah, if you kind of concentrate more on like the savory items, that's going to be good. You can bring your own food as well. I always like to bring a little something that I know I'm gonna really love. And I'm sure it looks really weird to people that I'm eating what I brought, but I don't really care. Because if it's not on track with what I'm wanting to eat, and honestly, I don't want to put anybody out. I'm not gonna, if my best friend is having a party, I'm not gonna say, can you make sure that there's no this, this, and this? I'm not gonna do that. So I just try to be considerate, bring my own non-alcoholic drink options and, a dish to share with everybody that I know I'll love. And then if there's things that I like there, that's just an extra added benefit. The next thing is to engage in conversations or activities. Yes, this can be so hard, especially if you rely on alcohol to be social. But instead of worrying about your drinks, just pour your energy into maybe challenging yourself to connect with people. Make it kind of a fun game. Like if you feel like you're socially awkward or that you have a hard time with people, maybe just say to yourself, like, tonight I'm going to be uncomfortable anyway. So I'm just going to make it a challenge and see how many people I can strike up a conversation with or how many people I can introduce myself to. Um, and just see how that goes. Have an exit strategy. This is something I'll talk about in planning, but if an event ever becomes so uncomfortable that you feel like you're going to drink and you definitely don't want to, then just, if you can, just leave. Practice visualization. Now, I know this might sound a little new agey, but I don't mean it in that way. So I just want you to practice visualizing like how you want to be at the event. Like, what are you going to drink? How do you just kind of want to carry yourself? What do you want to do? How do you want to respond to people? What are those things you want to say if people offer you an alcoholic beverage? So just like keep that in mind and visualize that. And then also visualize your result that you want to have. So visualize yourself like waking up in the morning and feeling so good and proud of your choices. And that will just help remind your brain, this is what we're doing, brain. And then I think you can do it. So reward yourself after. So plan a little treat for yourself. It doesn't have to be food or anything, but just plan something um, fun that sounds fun to you. So if it's a cozy movie night, if it's going out to a movie, if it's going out to lunch with a friend, that's going and, I don't know, buying that new sweater that you've been eyeing, just something that um, lets you know, like, I did a good job and here's just a little reward. It doesn't have to be big or expensive. It's better if it's not, but just something that um, just celebrates your choices. And then this one is one of my favorites, actually. Offer to help out. So I've helped out many times at events with like friends and even at my parish. And I just like to help. And I feel so much more um, I mean, it's a lot easier for me not to focus on what's going on and what people are doing and what people are thinking when I'm too busy like serving others and doing things. So if you can keep your hands busy by like, I don't know, cutting things up or doing whatever, just asking the hostess like, what can I help you with? Maybe keeping the kids occupied, whatever it is, um, whatever you like to do. If that is something that sounds good to you, it does work. So, all right. So these are a couple of our pages. We have, oh my goodness, Christy, there's triggers and urges again. Didn't we have enough? Didn't we have 3 pages yesterday? Yes, you did. But this is the triggers and urges plan. So you're going to take those triggers that you wrote about yesterday or whenever you decide to do that workbook, and you are going to plan for those triggers. So as you can see in the worksheet, it says trigger, write it out. I will prepare for this by, write that out. I will overcome this by. So then you have a plan. So do that for as many triggers as you think that you need. And then you will feel so much more confident because you've actually planned for the trigger instead of just letting it happen to you. Like, you know that this is an obstacle, you're planning for it, so you're not going to be caught off guard. You know it's there and you know what you want to do because you're going to be prepared and you will overcome it. The next page is, I use this a ton, so it's writing out a plan. So if you have an event coming up, I want you to pull out this page. Actually, you don't even have to write on this paper. You could write it in, like your journal thing I was telling you about. This. You could just use it kind of as a guide, as an outline. And you could put it in here. You could put the event, you could put the date, and then you could just write step 1. So step 1 is where you're going to lay the foundation and you're going to ask yourself these 3 questions. What is your goal? What are your biggest triggers? And we have the triggers and urges plan, so you work through that. And then what do you want your results to be? This is just getting clarity and laying a foundation as you plan. So what is your goal? What are your triggers? And what do you want your results to be? So in the example that I used earlier today, maybe your goal is to have 2 alcoholic beverages at an event. Let's say your trigger is going to be, I don't know, one of your family members who's always very confrontational. And what do you want your result to be? You want to be able to have a good conversation with them, and not feel like you have to drink to kind of numb out from having to deal with them. Maybe you want your result to be waking up in the morning clear-headed. Maybe you want to not sleep the day away. Um, you want to be proud of the choices and the way you showed up at the event. I don't know what that is for you, so just kind of write that out. And then step number 2, I want you to ask yourself, what am I willing to do to get that result? What are you willing to do? Are you willing to stop after that second drink? Are you willing to dump out the rest of the wine? Are you willing to put the wine bottle on a different table and not ever look at it again? Are you willing to have difficult conversations, or are you willing to leave the conversation, like make an excuse and leave the conversation when it gets to the point that you're uncomfortable? Just think of all those things. And then the third step is, what are you not willing to do? Now, a lot of times when we're doing these steps, what are you willing to do and what are you willing, or what are you not willing to do? You'll kind of work them at the same time, because as you think of something that you want to do, that you are willing to do, you might think of something that you're not willing to do. So you can just kind of like work through those both at the same time if it's easiest for you. So maybe you're not willing to, oh, maybe you're not willing to engage in the confrontation. So what you would have to be willing to do would be to walk away or come up with an excuse to excuse yourself from the conversation. And then that leads me to step 4, which I talked about a little bit earlier, having an exit strategy. This can be really beneficial if you plan for it in advance and you talk to your husband or whoever you're going to the event with, letting them know, like, if this, then that. So if it gets to this point, then I want to leave. Or maybe you just have an exit strategy for, if it starts to feel really heavy and uncomfortable and I'm having really bad cravings, then I'm willing to exit and maybe go for a walk and come back. Or I'm willing to excuse myself and go to the bathroom, spend 5 minutes there, just kind of regrouping, and then come back, taking some of those deep breaths, doing some of those stress reduction things that we talked about yesterday. And that could be something that you're willing to do. Like, I'm willing to take deep breaths and pray through the urge to calm down my nervous system. Yeah, so just kind of think about those things. And I know that it will vary depending on the situation, depending on the event, depending on who's there. So this plan is also really good for pretty much anything. So you don't have to use it just when it comes to drinking. You can use it for, yeah, pretty much anything. So I hope that that will be a tool that you will utilize, because if you utilize it, you are going to see so much more success. All right, now we're going to talk about, sorry, I need some tea. We're going to talk about the art of declining a drink. Now, in your workbook, I've included a variety of different things that you can say to decline a drink. So I split it up into some straightforward and witty. I don't know how witty they are, but that's all I could come up with. Some straightforward ones are, no, thank you. I'll pass, but I appreciate the offer. I'm good for now. Thanks. Oh, thanks. I would love some sparkling water with a twist of lime if you have it. No, thanks. I'm good with what I have. I'm skipping drinks tonight. I'm having a great time, though. Thank you for inviting me. Thanks, but I'm taking a break. Oh gosh, I need to be clear-headed for tomorrow, so I'm gonna pass. I'm realizing that alcohol is affecting me a lot different than it used to, so I'll pass tonight. Some witty things you can say is, I'm pacing myself for the next decade. Or, I promised my Uber driver that I'd be sober when they pick me up. It's a bonding thing. Or, I already hit my quota of chaos for the week. Better not risk it. I'll pass. I'm the official photographer tonight. Someone's got to make sure you all look great. I'm on a streak of smart decisions. Don't want to break in now. Oh, I become everyone's therapist after just one drink. Trust me, no one wants that. And I'm sticking to mocktails. Gotta keep the mystery alive. Something that I said is, oh, I drank all my allotted amount of alcohol in my 20s, so I don't drink it. Don't drink anymore. I say it differently like than that, but that's essentially what it is. So you can just come up with whatever sounds good, feels good to you. Now, some things to keep in mind when you're at an event. Number one, no thank you is a complete sentence. You do not owe anyone, not your mama, not your sister, nobody. You don't owe anyone an explanation unless you want to explain. Okay? Can just be no thank you. And you can say no thank you as many times as you need to. The other thing to keep in mind is that you are not being rude when you are declining a drink because honestly, that person does not have to wake up with your choices. You do. So just, you can always offer them another bit of hospitality. So if they ask you, would you like a glass of wine? You could say, no, thank you, but I would love some sparkling water if you have it. That way they can still offer you hospitality. Keep in mind how great you're going to feel in the morning and how proud you'll be of your choices. And then also, if someone reacts negatively to your decision not to drink, honestly, that says more about them than it does about you. I would say, like, why does what I drink really concern you? Or why does it bother you so much that I'm not drinking? Focus on everything you gain instead of what you think you are missing out on. And how you do this is you turn FOMO into JOMO. You turn the fear of missing out into the joy of missing out. Focus on how much better you're feeling now that you're reducing or eliminating alcohol. Ask for a pretty glass. Ask for a pretty glass. I cannot tell you how many times I've been at an event and I go up to get a drink at like the little bar thingy. My husband is always with me, but I go up there and they give it to me in like this weird thing, or I ask for not a weird thing, but they'll give it to me in just like a beer stein, or not stein, but like one of those beer glasses, or like a plastic cup, or in a can. If I ask for sparkling water, then here's your can. Like, I am in a beautiful dress. I do not want a glass of sparkling water in a can. Sparkling water tastes so much better when you drink it out of a champagne flute or a pretty glass and you have a little twist of lime in it. It takes like 2 seconds. They have lots of glasses back there. And you can bring your own glasses if you're going to a friend's house to pour it in, but I'll drink sparkling water out of a can at home, but if I'm at an event, I do not want that. Absolutely not. Pretty glasses make a difference. And then 99% of the people do not care what you have in your glass. I promise you. They don't. They just don't. You think that they do, but they don't. And another thing that is not on this list is often we are judging each other. So when you decide not to drink and someone kind of reacts negatively toward you, it could be because they think that you are judging them for drinking. And then you are thinking that they're judging you for not drinking. And I don't know, you guys might be judging each other, but more often than not, nobody's judging anybody. Um, and it comes down to they don't really care what's in your glass, but hopefully they're just happy to spend time with you and celebrate with you. Okay. I just thank you so much for being here, for spending these 3 days with me. I hope that you will take these videos and watch them over and over, whether you decide to do dry January, whether you decide to stop drinking during Lent, whether you're deciding to reduce or eliminate your alcohol now. I pray that these videos will be super beneficial for you and that what you've learned here is something that you can carry forward into your everyday life always. Um, for those of you who are interested in more, because I go so much deeper into all of these things in my Sacred Sobriety Lab, I want to invite you to register for that. And I'm offering you all this very amazing deal, $100 off of the Sacred Sobriety Lab. Now, the lab includes the course, like a self-guided course, which is basically videos, worksheets, things like that. It's like this workshop, but way more, way more stuff. And we go a lot deeper. You also get group coaching, weekly group coaching. So it'll be me and whoever decides to show up, and we can work through whatever you happen to be going through at that time. And it's one of my favorite things. I love being able to coach people and to help them realize what they can do, especially when they invite God in to help them, to strengthen them, to empower them, to equip them. Yeah, so huge discount for you all is $100 off. But here's the other thing. Right now, I'm offering everybody, if they sign up before December 31st, they get 24 months for the price of 12 months. So I'm offering that to you as well. But the coupon code, the $100 off, is only good through Saturday, the 21st. So you have to use that coupon code before that, and then you'll get $100 off, and you'll still get 24 months of support of being in the lab. So the lab is priced at $397, which is a great deal. In general, it's just a little over $1 a day. But instead, you'll be getting 24 months. And then again, if you use that coupon code MFM100, then it makes the lab only $297. Now, I do have some upgrade options. If you do want some one-on-one coaching, one of the packages includes 2 one-on-one coaching sessions, and another one includes 6 one-on-one coaching sessions. But so yeah, so that's another option as well. If you go to sacredsobrietylab.com, I have even more information. If you have any questions about it at all, please let me know. I am here to answer them, and I would love to see you in the lab. I would love to work with you. And yeah, but most of all, I'm just really happy that you are taking the time to examine your drinking habits and gain clarity about them. And I hope that you've had some value, learned some things, and gained some tools that are going to help you today and well beyond. So I wish you a happy Advent, a Merry Christmas, and a blessed New Year. And reach out to me anytime you have any questions. God bless you.